he said, "Hey, Chet, I want to put some harmony on My Dream." Now, I had no idea My Dream was in the mix then, but it got my attention. But what got my attention more was I was a guitar player. I mean, the biggest Chet Atkins fan on the planet. I had to be. I mean, he was just...
And you're 17.
Yeah, just turned 17. And maybe, yeah. Anyway, I looked to my left. I swear, almost as close as I am to you right now, maybe another 2 or 3 feet away. There's Chet Atkins at the producer's desk. And then the console, it looked like it was as long as this whole area here. I don't know how big it really was, but I'm just blown away, not knowing how, being a dumb little country boy too, you know, it was just overwhelming. Well, then after the 2 songs the vocals were done and they're breaking for a few minutes, Eddie Arnold comes in the room and he comes straight over to me. I mean, didn't stop and talk to anybody, just came looking for me. And he said, "Are you the young man that wrote those last 2 songs I just did?" I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "They're absolutely some of the best songs I ever heard." And he said, I can't thank you enough for allowing me to record those songs." And I'm thinking, is this the way it goes?
Normally not.
Yeah, it was very abnormal. And it was, oh man, it was a day that...
And your hometown was?
Scotts Hill.
Scotts Hill. So, excuse me, here's a 17-year-old from Scotts Hill, goes to Nashville, skips a day of work, goes to Nashville, hands over a couple of songs, and a week later, he's sitting in Studio A with Eddie Arnold, the Anita Kerr Singers and the Jordanaires, and 2 of the songs that you took were recorded. The first song was
Walking in Loveland.
Walking in Loveland, which ended up being the title of that album.
That's right, yeah.
And the second song was My Dream. And I want you folks to go back and look up Eddie Arnold's stuff and listen to those 2 songs that Ronny Hughes wrote. Walking in Loveland was the title cut, but the song My Dream, to me, is brilliant. It's one of the best songs I've ever heard.
Well, thanks.
And so you're 17 years old, and your stars have been changed instantly.
Yeah.
And because of that, what changes took place in your life from being hanging refrigerator doors?
Yeah, obviously the next day I gave notice, but they let me go early. But I wanted to go to college if I could somewhere, but I didn't think that would ever happen because we weren't rich. But so I want to be in school in Nashville because that's where you are. And I had 2 brothers that lived in Nashville, so that was great. And so I go, though. This is really funny, especially if anybody knows about what happened back then. But in that year, 1968, 69, 70-ish, that's the year that all the 3 universities, the big universities in Nashville, all started to kind of open their doors, I think, to musicians, working musicians.
Right.
That became working musicians, I guess. And so man, I'm drawing a blank on you here. I apologize.
It's okay.
I'm assuming you got.
Well, but you ended up being able to be a student at Peabody.
Yeah. So I go over. Here's the way that went, though. I was raised in the Church of Christ. So first, I go to Lipscomb, and I want to talk to the director of music, School of Music at Lipscomb. And I told him what had happened, that I just had some success, and I wanted to go to music school there. And he was very nice, nicest man in the world. But he said, you know, Ron, I'm not sure that would be a fit for us, I believe is the way he put it. And I was devastated. I thought, what's wrong? What's uncool about this? And anyway, so I leave, and I was stunned, but so I go over to Belmont. Now, this is the real strange part. 1968. I think in 1969 or 70 is the year Belmont became the music business thing,
right,
you know.
Right.
And anyway, I gave the same request to the director of music there, and he was, or he may have been the dean. I think he was. I can't remember, but anyway, described what I wanted to do, and I swear he said almost the same words. Like, it just wouldn't be for us. It just wouldn't be a good fit, I think. I thought, man, I must be coming off like a total hillbilly or something. And anyway, then I go to Peabody, knowing that even though Lipscomb and Belmont were very expensive schools, Peabody was part of Vanderbilt, or becoming that. I think they merged a little later. But anyway, I went to Peabody, and I went in and talked to the director of music, and he said, "Oh, Ron, you've come to the right place, buddy." He said, "We got studio musicians all over this campus. We got background singers, we got arrangers, songwriters, you know."
I'm home.
And I thought, man, thank you. And sure enough, it was just an amazing experience coming from a little bitty. Scotts Hill had 300 people, and you know, I had been to Nashville some because of my two brothers that had moved to Nashville, older brothers. But anyway, I did it, and it was the most incredible experience. I got to know so many people who thought like I thought. Actually, they were all way ahead of me because they were all readers. I didn't read music at the time. I still don't very well, but I found that didn't really hamper my ability to make a living in the music business because of the number system. You know, we all played charts that. Anyway, it was just everything about it was good.
Yeah. So you go to Peabody and have that experience, and then how did you start doing studio work?
Well,
because you played in studio work for what, 40 years?
Yeah, since around 1970. Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah. But now, at first, it was real slow for me. I had road gigs too. My first gig was with a guy named, with David Wilkins, the little David Wilkins, who's had a gazillion hits. He wrote 2 #1 records for Brenda Lee, Coming On Strong, and another one. Anyway, but I worked with David. I worked with Stan Hitchcock. I don't know if you remember him. He's a great singer, Opry star. Then I went to work with Hank Williams Jr.
So you were on the road with Hank Jr.?
Yeah. Hank cut one of my songs, and just a great guy, man. He was fun, and later on he got a little wilder and crazier, I guess, but I never thought he was crazy. I thought he was a genius. A great songwriter. Yeah. Great singer, and a good guy. He was really fun to be with, and he treated us really well. But then the next road gig I had was with Danny Davis and the Nashville Brass, which was a much more sophisticated arena for me. And two of the guys had PhDs in music and or doctorates. I don't know if they're PhDs.
Well, so when you were with Danny Davis and the Nashville Brass, that means you probably played big gigs in New York and
oh yeah,
Vegas. And did you ever play for presidents?
Yeah, played 2 inaugural balls. Played Richard Nixon's inaugural ball in 1977 or something like that. And I said 2. We did a lot of political stuff. I can't.
Right.
It was really only 1 inaugural, but anyway, we did just. But there was one thing that was funny. One of the trombone players in the Nashville Brass, I did it actually with Hank Jr. and the Nashville Brass was there, and later, a few months later, I went to work with them. But I'm standing backstage with Frank Smith. Frank Smith was an incredible trombone player, and he got the gig with the Nashville Brass playing trombone. And we were both old buddies from Peabody. And he and I we're just talking, and everybody's out there. Well, at that moment, this is true. On the stage was the Rat Pack, Sinatra,
Sammy Davis.
Sammy Davis Jr. Whoever the other 2 were. I can't
Dean Martin.
Dean Martin and the guy that was the brother.
He married a president.
Married the president's sister.
Well, it began with an L.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah. But anyway.
The Rat Pack. Anyway,
Yeah,
Rat Pack's on stage.
Yeah, they were the hottest actors in the world at the time.
And there's Ronny Hughes.
Yeah, but I look out there and Frank was standing here, and I looked over at him, and he looked at me, and it was like we both just burst into laughter. It was like, we can't believe we're here.
Right.
It was just amazing, man. It was a wonderful thing. Well, I did that, and then I went to work with the Nashville Brass after that, and did that for about 4 or 5 years.
Did you play some with Jerry Reed?
Yeah, later on, I worked with Jerry Reed for a year, right before.
How was that? He just always seemed to me like he was some kind of fun guy. He might have been a real jerk, I don't know, but he was a very talented individual.
When I worked with him in his later years, he lived several years after I worked with him, but he was a really nice guy. He was a good guy. He was not like anybody else I ever knew. Reed was always rocking, man. He was up. But the band, man, some of the best players I know of anywhere. Of course, Reed, I think, wouldn't have had it any other way. But it was just a great experience, It was a little. There was nothing but good about it.
So that's Ronny Hughes on the road. Hank, Reed, Nashville Brass, some other ones. What about Ronny Hughes on media? Didn't you play it with the Waking Crew and did some work on the stage at the Grand Ole Opry as a player at the Opry?
Yeah, the Waking Crew was. Boy, that was a blast. Billy Linneman, who's the bass player on that thing, and the evening shows, and he was a real busy guy around town. He hired me as his sub, and because he really couldn't do all he got